Could you have fit any more breasts in there? Was that?
Yes. Actually, no. It was actually written that there was a lot more written nudity, things like that. But the thing that became important to me was like a balance of just kind of, the nudity. I wanted to be kind of matter of fact and also not be completely exploitative. And so anything that seemed exploitative, we just took out. We didn't do it, and when it worked, it worked.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, how did this thing happen? I mean, I noticed a couple of names in there that are fairly familiar.
Wow, okay, so basically I was drinking coffee one morning in my backyard in Texas, and Chris Severson called me and he was like, hey man, I have this script I want to send you, it's really crazy, kind of weird, and he was like, have you been watching much of Russ Meyer, kind of John Waters? And I was like, yeah, I actually have been watching all of Russ Meyer's catalog at that point, kind of serendipitously, and he was like, well, I'm going to send you this script that I did rewrites on, and see what you think about it, but you might be good to direct it.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, Chris Severson is a writer-director who did The Lost, which played at South by a few years ago. Some of you might have seen it there. And also did last year's notorious I Know Who Killed Me.
Which is great.
Which,
actually.
I love the quiet response. No, the interesting thing about Chris is he has this very particular sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I went in and I saw I Know Who Killed Me in a theater, and I was laughing the whole way through, and I'm like, this is so Chris Severson, and I was the only one laughing. So.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's funny, and it's fantastic, completely surreal. And then, I read the script, and I actually had a weird, visceral, experience with it. I was just kind of reading it, and then it walked a lot of fine lines, just kind of, as far as, the exploitation lines, but it kind of ooged me out, which I liked on one level, and then, but at the same time, I'm really sensitive to that stuff, and I was like, well, let me look at this thing, and then I read it through a second pass, and I saw this dark humor kind of lying underneath it, and was like, okay, this is really cool, actually, and from there, I talked to John and Carl from Fever Dreams, and they came out to El Paso, Texas, and hung out for a couple days.
So one of the things I was curious about, where did the idea come from to do all the cover songs?
That actually came from Al. Al Jorgensen from Ministry, and he had just put to bed Ministry. He had just recorded their last album and recorded, and it kind of just been playing around. He was like, I'm done with Ministry, I'm done with Revolting Cocks, and I'm just having fun. He was kind of in this new creative zenith because of the freedom it offered him from putting these projects to bed, and he was like, I'm into the 70s cover songs, and so he was recording all these cover songs, and coincidentally, I was talking to him about doing the score for the film, and it just kind of, it all kind of worked out.
How did you meet Al in the first place?
Al, I've done a couple of music videos for him.
Oh, okay.
He lives in El Paso, Texas now. He's kind of an honorary Texan.
Cool.
And we kind of struck up a relationship about 5 years ago. The thing that I was most concerned with was, in this film, I saw a really thin line between exploitation towards women and just kind of a fun film. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't cross that line. And so, I basically cast women in those roles where I could collaborate with them, and it was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This isn't what I want to do. And you tell me where that line is, because I don't know where that line is. I have a feeling for it, but I'm a guy.
So do you ever, my big wonder, my curiosity is, do you ever have those conversations where it's, do I really have to be naked for this scene?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There were several times we shot scenes where it was written that they were naked, and we're shooting it, and it feels weird, and it feels awkward, and it's basically, we would go back, and I was like, okay, wait a minute, we need to stop for a second, take a step away, come back, and it's like, okay, this doesn't need to be shot this way. They can have their clothes on, it doesn't make sense, and let's move on from there. I saw the sexuality as an essential part of the film, but I didn't want to make a complete, just degrading exploitation film,
So you didn't want to go the full Russ Meyer?
Well, actually, I don't think, looking back at Russ Meyer's films, I don't think that they're degrading in any way. I think that a lot of times, like, the male figures kind of balance everything out. I think it kind of applies here. I'm not really the person to talk about that stuff because I made the film, but like, in Russ Meyer's films, the women kind of end up being strong. Their sexuality is part of their strength, and it's part of what intimidates the men. And the men's view on sexuality and like the roles of women is usually their weakness. Usually what makes them weird or twisted or kind of fucked up, you know, and I actually kind of use that as an inspiration, you know, not an inspiration, but just kind of a reference point.